Okay, I will go to activate the port security mechanism on the port G001 on the switch 3. Okay, I will make some space here to you, and to activate the port security, okay, with this one, we have options. The first one, which is enable this functionality. This is very important steps. Without this command, we haven't a port security. And here I can tell you for Huawei switches, some switches you need some licenses, and you can check on the Huawei website to check your model switches if it have the port security feature, or you need to activate some licenses for this feature. Okay, the port security is enabled on this port, and we can check a look for the port security options. We can see here the aging time. We can modify the aging time for, and we can modify the maximum MAC address number learned on this port, and we can modify the protect action. We can specify for the maximum address 2 as possible, and here we can have from 1 by default to 4096 as maximum numbers. Okay, so the second setting is to set the protect action. The protect action, remember I have said we have 3 actions possible. The protect action as configured as protect, it discards the traffic but doesn't shut down the port and doesn't warning us for this reason, and they cannot give the MAC address which is activate this port security violation. This restrict mode or the restrict action, it discards the packet, doesn't shut down the port, but it generates a warning with the address MAC belonging to this violation. By default, shutdown is the protect action. Okay, and it occurs when we have more than the maximum number authorized to be learned on this port. Okay, and I will take a look for this one. So display this, and this is my port security configuration on this port, and I can change or I can use 2 equipments or 2 MAC address on this port as maximum number. If the third MAC address is plugged on this port, the protect action, which is shutdown, is activated by default. So I think for the MAC address table operation, I have taken a look for the important features. We have arrived at the time of finished this first labs, and I prefer to go to second steps, which is the MSTP configuration. And I hope I hope to give you some good. So the MSTP configuration. You know, on the Huawei switches, the MSTP as a protocol of switching is enabled by default on the major switches Huawei vendors. And at the beginning, I prefer to talk about the STP RSTP defect. I have told you this this webinar is destined for the student and the professional which they have some prerequisites to understand these concepts. But let me now to talk about STP RSTP defect. The STP and RSTP both have a defect, which is if there are here some persons or participants with us, they know the STP or RSTP are a standard protocol for switching, and they are used to prevent loops and other problems on our network. In RSTP or STP, the mechanism for preventing the loops is, or to have a loop-free network, is to create a tree, as you see here in this topology. We have the blue color with the discontinuous line. Yeah, good. And each STP or RSTP here trees is belonging to one or to all VLANs presented on my labs, and that is a defect. Why? Because some links here are not used. For enhancing this topology, there are another protocols, which is the MSTP. And we will take a look here in the MSTP concepts. Before we take a look to the configuration, we will talk about the major concept. And this multiple spanning tree protocol has many words. First, what is an MST region? The multiple spanning tree region is our domain belonging to all the networks. Donc, I think I have here one, in this example in figure 1, I have one region, it's belonging to all the devices. And why I have this, this is a logical view, okay? This is not the physical view. What is an MSTI? A multiple spanning tree instance. Multiple spanning tree instance represent a subdomain on my network or on my MST region. In one MST region, I have multiple MST instance, multiple spanning tree instance. And each MSTI is belonging to some VLANs. So I can have VLAN mapping tables, and it's belonging to each instance. I have other words like CST, IST, SST, and CST. This is the common spanning tree, the internal spanning tree, the single spanning tree, and the common internal spanning tree. They are belonging to the algorithm of spanning tree used on each MST. So inside the MST instance, we use the common spanning tree between the port of this switch. And between MST instance, we use the common spanning tree for selecting power rods. Remember, each MST instance, I have a VLAN mapping table. So in my MST instance, there are more than VLAN belonging to it. So how does it work? This multiple instance, we give for us a multiple trees, and each trees or MST instance have its own route bridge, and the configuration of the MSTP is about all these concepts. So we have in one region, one regional route switches. It will be the switch principle of the MST region. And on inside every MST instance, I have a CST route, like in yellow color here. Each yellow switches is the CST route. And we have the master bridge for our region too. How does it work as MSTP topology? There are CST, a common internal spanning tree calculation, as you know, like as the RSTP. There are some BPDUs exchanged, and after this operation, the second step is the MSTE calculation. In each MST region, the MSTP independently calculates the MST instance for each VLAN based on mapping between VLANs and MST instance. At last steps, the MSTP responding to the topology changes, like the RSTP protocol. And it works like RSTP exactly. This reason make the MSTP protocol compatible or have compatibilities with the others protocols like RSTP or STP running on other device and other device vendors. The configuration of MSTP is easy. We have some commands to aggregate. First, we should create a region configuration with the command STP region configuration. For configuring a region configuration, we need to give it a name with the command region name, and we put the name of my region, example RG1. And the second options is to give and to create instances with number and belonging to the VLAN. For example, here with the command instance1 VLAN 1 2 to 10, that is belonging to mapping these all VLANs from 2 to 10 to this instance. Okay, and up. Okay, good, and so on and so on. Every instance is mapped for the VLAN, which you create many. Okay. This is the command to share or to create or to activate the region configuration, because here we create the instance of MSTP on the STP region configuration. This command I have to notate for you. in this command, it depends on your switches and VRP version. Some switches don't need to this command. For example, the switch S5000 series don't it's need this. You can check this command. You can check on the Huawei support website to know if this command is used or not. After that, we can choose which switches will be the root primary or root secondary, and the command it will be the STP1 root primary. For instance 1, the same switches can be a secondary root for instance 2, and so on, without forget to specify the STP path cost for legacy. This standard is Huawei proprietary standards. And at the end of my configuration, I should enable the STP, because depending on your switch and the VRP version, the STP can be not be enabled by default. Okay, we can take a look now for a few minutes for the lab 2. Okay, what is about lab 2? I will share with you second labs. Now you see on your screen this topology, okay?
Yes.
And to configure MSTP protocol on this network, the command it will be like this. On switch A, it will be the primary root MSTP for the MST instance 1 belonging to VLAN 2 from 2 to 10. All these VLANs are belonging on this MST1, and it will be the switch A will be the secondary root for the MST instance 2 belonging to this VLAN from VLAN 11 to 20. The switch B, it will be the secondary for instance 1, MST1 root, and the primary root for the MST2. The other switch belonging to this the MST instance. Remember, each switch can or each switch have to create, or on we have to create all this VLAN on each switch. How we can proceed with this configuration? First, we will proceed to configure the MST region on each switches. Okay, the commands are here. So for each switches, for example, switch A, I will aggregate this command. First, we create the STP region configuration, which need the region name, and there are another information, which is the number of sequence of this configuration. It is generated by default, but all switches should have the same region name at minimum. And after that, we can create the instance, for example, instance 1 to belonging to all VLANs from 2 to 10, and instance 2 for all VLANs to 11, from 11 to 12 or 20 VLAN. Okay, this command will be repeated on each switches. So okay, so I can start all equipment. This is the topology, and the steps are here. This is the tasks, and I will use some because I use the CE 6800 model here. The startup is slow. Okay, you see here. Why I have used this model? Because it contains more options to configure with MSTP. Okay, so it takes about 20 seconds to start for each switches, and I will share with you the command to do. So this is the command to configure the MST on switch A. I will proceed with the configuration on switch A. You see with me. So I just passed all this command, and you see here. This is not for as MSTP, okay? But the MSTP is begin from here. This one, the STP region configuration. I have give a name for my region name is RG1. I have created some instances, MST instance 1 to belonging for VLAN 2 to 10. So we have all these VLAN belonging to the instance 1. And the VLAN from 12 to 20, all these VLAN is belonging to the instance 2. And it's okay. The last command, which is the STP, the active region configuration, this command is not needed on this model of switches, because here display version, I have the Huawei S6800 model. So we can do this one. I will type this command, and I will let you show what I am explaining here. If I will check this command to apply on this model, doesn't work. See why? It is not needed. But if I use the other models like the S series models of Huawei switches, this command, which is enable the region configuration, it is needed. You should to type this command. So this is an important remark. Here in my topology, I don't need this command. And all the other switches, remember, they should have the same region number. So for switch P, the same command. So we have to create a region configuration with the same name, RG1, and the MSTP instance and their VLAN mapping. Remember this command, it's belonging about the switches and VRP version. Okay, after that, the step 2 is to configure the primary and secondary root bridge for the MSTI instance 1 and the MST instance too. How does it work? First, I can make the switch A as a root primary. So I will clear my screen here. The command is STP. Oh, excuse me. I should return on the previous line command interfaces. Here I can type the STP instance 1 root primary. Let's make the switch A as root primary. We have said this, as the switch A is the secondary root bridge for the instance 2. So I can aggregate this command to configure switch A as a root secondary for the instance 2. And this configuration can make or can activate the load balancing for the between the or inter-VLAN communication. And if one root bridge or the primary root bridge failed, the secondary root bridge will take over or will take the control. Okay, and for the switch A, it's the same configuration. Another remark here, we can remark that is a star here. That means the configuration is not saved. And in this model of switches, I can tap the commit command line, and remember the star is go. After that, we can save our configuration. Yes, and it's done. Okay, our STP here is configured, and the same steps will be applied on the other switches. Remember, we can verify our configuration by displaying with the command STP, and we can choose here brief information, or we can display STP per interfaces, specific interface, or per region configuration, or we can have a global information. I will try here to have a brief output, and I can see here the protocol status is disabled. The protocol standard is the IEEE 802.1s. Remember, this reference is used for the MSTP protocol, okay? And it is not enabled by default on this model of switch. So we should to enable STP. So we type the STP enable command to start the STP protocol as a configuration. Should I type commit and save to? If I aggregate display STP brief again, you sure we have another output. Okay, you see here, MSTP is okay, and the STP brief have no information because the other switches have not yet exchanged messages, which is the PBDUs on this topology. Okay, so I can activate the same configuration here. I have a list of configuration prepared before this session. For switch B, take a look with me, please. This is all command needed to configure MSTP. First, we created the STP region configuration with the region name RG1. It is the same name for switches belonging in all my region. We create the instance 1 MSTP belong to from 2 to 10, and the instance 2 MSTP belonging to VLANs from 11 to 20. Remember, this command is not needed for some switches models. For my models, I can use just this command, and after that, I enable the STP protocol on the switch. So I will proceed here. You see, everything is okay. Switch B is configured. STP region configuration as created. Region name is RG1. It is very important to have the same region name, and the number of reference of the switch. These parameters or setting is generated by default, but the most important setting is the region name to be belonging to all the switches. We have created the instance 1, as you see here, and the instance 2 of MSTP. Here we have to do the last command, which is, so first I will keep this more command line interfaces. We should to enable the MSTP. Remember, if I do a display STP brief in the switch B, the protocol MSTP by default is disabled. So I should to enable the STP protocol, yes, and this configuration on this switch is okay. The MSTP is working. Oh, I haven't do the STP enable, okay, and after that, now the shared configuration is enabled. After this configuration, I think there will be a configuration of load balancing here by creating an ether channel or ether aggregation port here to make some bandwidth to be a better bandwidth here. Okay. And we can complete all the steps for the others. Remember this command, it's belonging to the model of your switch. It is not needed on the Huawei 6800 models. But in the S5000 models, this command is needed. After that, we will be sure to make the root primary and root secondary configuration on switch B. With this command, we can configure the switch B as the root secondary for the instance 1. Okay, like here, I will configure this switch B as an root secondary for instance 1 and as a root primary for instance 2. Okay, here it will be the root primary. Good. And my configuration for MSTP is done. Can we I will let you. I will let you to show another setting to configure. A very important setting to configure is to set the path cost to legacy. The path cost standard to legacy. Why? Because this standard is a Huawei proprietary protocols or standards. It be more efficient on the Huawei equipment. So we can add this command, the STP path cost, and let me show you how many standards we have here. By default is the .1T, okay, standards, and you see we have 3 standards. Huawei use in his own or its own standard protocol to calculate the path cost. So we can modify to legacy, and this modification or configuration, it will be belonging to all others configuration, switches. Why? Because they need to use the same path cost to have the all setting exactly the same. I will configure here, switch C, okay, and switch A, okay. Remember this start here, so it means that I need to commit my configuration, and I should save my configuration to be stored on the configuration, and after the restart I have the configuration saved of the switch. So I have shown you the most important MSTP configuration, and the last parameters it will be the cost or path cost standard, and we can configure these parameters globally or per interfaces. Okay. So I have finished the configuration, the basic configuration of MSTP. We can talk about the advanced configuration of MSTP. We can activate some features of security features like the edge port. Okay, we can activate this feature on the ports belonging to the endpoint host, like PCs or servers. We can tell to this port we will plug it here host and not switch. And the second feature is the STP PBDO protection. You know, this is the message exchanged between the switches to do the MSTP configuration. And if we activate a PBDO protection on an edge port, we will be safe, we will be sure there are no switches plugged on this port. If any switches is plugged on this edge port enabled with the PBDO protection tool, the port will be shut down. Okay, and this configuration work we should configure the edge port with the BBDO protection. So, and we can activate the edge port enable globally, okay, on the or the protection with STP BBDO protection. Another feature of security of MSTP, it is the root protection. We can protect these interfaces to receive PBDOs to be a root PBDOs configuration, and we will not accept any PBDOs root messages from this or received in this, for example, interface G101. So it is an interesting future of securing MSTP configuration. If you agreed with me, switch A and switch B, it will be the principal switches, and these switches are configured as a root primary, and we can't accept to make any other switches as a root primary for many reasons, for architecture and topologies and security. So we can configure on port GA101 for switch A and the same for switch B to not accept any PBDOs to be better switch root bridge. So the configuration, it will be not changed and more secure. This is the use case for the root protection configured on interfaces. So, and in my STP, you see with me, here we have some features or switching layer 2 features. It is used on the data center or the aggregation layer or switches. Okay, we can configure the Ether channel. Yeah. Okay. This is all the configuration used by the MSTP configuration. Can you see the presentation here?
Yes, I just want to make a quick introduction for those of you who are not familiar with the Huawei Enterprise Community.
Okay.
We are
before you start, Elena, I would like to thanks everyone to be joined us in this webinar. And,
thank you for presenting, and thank you for,
I have done my best in English, and I thank you too.
I think everyone understands, and even though we had some issues with the internet, again, I think everyone understands that these things happen these days. But okay, so I would like to invite you all to join the Huawei Enterprise Community. We already have over 159,000 members and 41,000 posts that you can learn from. You can ask technical questions, you can learn for your certifications, you can share knowledge, and also join our MVE program and get access to our rewards and high coins, which are basically our community currency, which you can use to in exchange for Amazon gift cards or Huawei exam vouchers, as you can see in the picture. We have a new webinar each month, and we organize 2 activities each month. So I think there is a lot. There are a lot of reasons to join our community. And now I would like to go to the webinar post, if you can. Okay, so you will receive 3 questions that are based on the content that was presented by our presenter. And in order to get access to our rewards, which are 10 Amazon gift cards, which value $20, I would like to invite you to go to the webinar post on the Huawei Enterprise Community. This is how you can recognize the post. If you don't have an account yet, you have to register first. If you already have an account, please make sure you log in first. And then you can leave your comment with your answers under the webinar post. You also have the link here, or you can go directly to the community and search for the webinar post. And again, this is where you have to answer the 3 questions. If you answer all the 3 questions correctly, you get a chance to win the rewards. And now you can see the questions. The questions will also be posted in the post. You will be able to find them in the post.
Okay.
Okay, so basically you will have this information from the webinar, so
Okay.
it shouldn't be a problem to answer the questions. I think we can go to the second question.
Okay, the second question is here. It's very easy to answer to this question.
For some people, for me it's not, but I'm sure that for some people it is.
If they join this webinar or they look at this webinar after that,
Yes, I'm sure.
I think the response will be easy.
Clear, yes. Okay, so this one has only one correct answer.
Okay, yeah.
And the third one?
This is the third one. Only one answers.
Okay, this is easy. I know this.
you got it.
Yeah, I think I'm a pro now. I'm an expert. No, I'm joking. I don't. But I'm sure that you guys will get the correct answers. Okay, this is also has just one correct answer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can go to the Huawei Enterprise Community, you can search for the webinar post and answer the 3 questions in the comment section and get a chance to win one of the prizes that we have available for you. And please register and, I don't know, make sure you follow us for more webinars and activities and many more surprises that we are planning for you. So this was it, guys. It lasted longer than we expected, but there was a lot of knowledge to be shared. Thank you for taking the time to present so many interesting information. And I don't know, if you guys have some questions, we don't have time now for them, but you can go and post them under the webinar post. And
exactly. I can respond for
yes.
any question after.
Thank you for that. So you can post your questions there, and because now we don't have time for questions as well, so we need to end the meeting, and we'll talk soon again. Maybe we'll for a new webinar. Okay, thank you so much for hosting our webinar. Thank you so much for watching, and again, go to the webinar post on the Huawei Enterprise Community and reply the 3 questions if you want to win.
And good luck for everyone.
And stay safe and healthy, and have patience. Everything will be okay in the end. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you for watching.
Thank you. So I said you goodbye. Be safe.